The agenda item is consideration to look at it. So what you're telling us is that even if we take over this and free up your figure, $40,000, you say that's not enough, and you won't do it. What that says to somebody else, to me, is that you don't want anybody looking at your books. You don't want anybody paying your bills for you. You don't want anybody giving you $40,000.
Excuse me, wait a minute. Are you going to be paying our bills for us?
We're going to pay the bills. But
No. There's a difference between paying the bills and having the funds to pay the bills.
Come on, Mark. It's been looking back 6 years. You've had the same darn deficiency from the auditors. We're going to take that away from them and clear up the auditors. In doing that, we're going to free up expenses for the railroad. And so you're telling us that won't work. And as a businessman, I can say, what's wrong with that? That will work.
If you don't care about the railroad, it won't work.
What?
If you don't care about the railroad, it won't work.
If we didn't care about the railroad,
I don't think you do. You want to ruin it.
Oh,
There's many people sitting up there who want to.
Yeah, they're personal vendetta.
And they're going to do it, one way or another. You got one guy on the end that thinks he's so smart.
About the personal
that he
vendetta.
can run everything. He's not smart. He thinks he is. And Marty, you're just going to ruin it. And that would be a chance when you've got all these guys on the board. Just to ruin it.
Goodbye. I would like to put this on the agenda of the management board for the next meeting. Management board, and by all means come, give a presentation. But let's do this smartly.
We are trying to do it smartly. We're sitting here for years with a deficiency, and we're making a suggestion.
My employers are the management board. I am not an employee of the city of Ely.
Well,
So my bosses are the management board. I think out of common, this has been a 6-year problem, correct? Isn't that what you just said? So I think out of common courtesy, this problem doesn't need to be solved tonight. This problem can go to the management board, and the management board can sit down with the board of trustees and hammer it out.
Mark, may I ask you just a very simple question?
Absolutely.
Why didn't you bring the receipts that were noted on this agenda?
Because I was out of town and didn't come to town until Wednesday and looked at the agenda, and I checked my voice messages. And again, this goes to common courtesy.
Well, we
asked
for this at our last meeting.
I don't recall that you asked for it.
I didn't. You said, I'll bring them.
I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I don't remember you asking, and so I didn't bring it. I'm sure it's in the minutes if you asked. I'm not doubting your word.
Oh.
I'm not doubting your word. I'm just doubting that. I'm just saying there are 24 hours in the day and there isn't a 25th hour in the day. And what we're trying to do down there is preserve a major industrial complex without the funding to do it, and so we scrape.
we're trying to help, Mark, and it doesn't.
And if you would like to help, then what I request that you do is you pick up our pool pack insurance for workman's comp, which would allow me to. Again, what you're doing is
go back to the same thing. You have a big deficiency from the auditors. We keep bringing it up. I said it at least 10 times. You've had 5-6 years to fix it. You haven't fixed it. So we're bringing a solution to fix your deficiency, and you're throwing up stuff
then
not to do it. And
no.
Yes, you
I
are.
said let's fix the deficiency, but I just don't. There are other possibilities in fixing this deficiency. The way to fix the deficiency is for us to go out and hire a person whose full-time job is to do the accounting.
You don't have money to do that. That's what we're trying to get around.
I understand that. What I submit to you is you are already paying our liability insurance.
That's not an agenda item.
Well,
that's not on the agenda.
Then the one thing I request, Mr. Hanson, is that we give this an opportunity to go to the management board, sit down with the management. I think that's just fair. And again, this issue does not have to be fixed tonight.
Based off of the information which you provided on the, trying to remember what it is, rules and regulations or the arrangement or whatever it is, the
bylaws.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it not the responsibility of this body to appoint the management board?
It's the responsibility of the mayor to appoint the
No.
management board. Yes. Yes, it is.
Well, he can appoint me up to approve.
Yes, he appoints
So it's
you.
still the last.
So ultimately, we're still the final responsibility.
But if you go into the bylaws, you can only remove a management board member for.
We're not wanting to remove anybody.
I
just
understand
asking who's
that,
ultimately
but-
responsible.
I understand that. But I think, again, for common courtesy, I think
So what do
we
you want
need
to do,
to
Sam?
involve the management board.
I would like to see if, I make this proposal that we ask Jennifer to look into telling us how much it would cost to be able to take over the finances of the railroad for ourselves. Meanwhile, that gives him the opportunity to talk to his management board so that she can come back with a report in 2 weeks and tell us how much this thing will cost.
But
So
until she gets, it take a long time to do it. I mean that's a.
well, we can make the motion. Maybe she won't have it ready for us
No,
in 2
until she
weeks.
gets the information from the railroad, we have no idea.
Will you give Jennifer the information? He comes down there
What information?
to just whatever
Yeah.
we need from her
Sure.
to see if this is even feasible to do.
Can I also?
Yeah, that's what we're
You
talking
wanted,
about
you
now, is
wanted
just
the
the
2
feasibility
weeks, that's
of it.
kind of what we're
Okay.
doing.
Can I also ask for your motion that you add and define the responsibilities? In other words, who is actually responsible for what?
I think that would take a second motion because it's a totally different issue
Oh,
than what we
different
have here
issue.
based
Okay.
off of what Mr. Sears has already elucidated for us. And I would be perfectly fine if somebody wanted to make that motion as well. But for the moment, I think just the motion that we have on the table to direct the city clerk, treasurer Rogan to look into bringing the Nevada Northern Railways financial management to City Hall, I would like to make that motion.
You have a second?
Second.
Before you vote, can I ask one question?
Sure, you can ask two if you like.
It might turn into, this is from Richard.
Yes.
A legal question. Do you know whether it would be legal for city government to take over a nonprofit in their finances?
Sure.
It would be.
There's no legal issue here because the city, in two capacities, owns the entire railroad. It owns it half by the Board of Trustees, which is the city council, and it owns it the other half outright as the city of Eden. That's the reason I made the statement earlier, that this is a city asset, and the one who's ultimately responsible for city assets is you. So you're responsible under the NRS to manage and control city assets. So at least as the half of it, there's no doubt you're in charge ultimately and ultimately responsible. As to the second half, okay, that's an interesting question. Either the entire Board of Trustees is responsible, or they've delegated it to Dale, since he's in charge of the Board of Trustees, or you could ultimately be responsible for the second half because it's still a city of Ely asset. Okay? And I don't know the answer to that question. We would probably have to go to a man in a black robe without pearls to find out the answer to that question. Or a woman, perhaps. But I suspect only a judge can decide that portion of the issue. But you're probably on the hook because you're the mayor. And it's an asset of the city of Ely.
I asked one question, I got two answers.
There you go.
Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Have a motion, second on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. So we'll do that, Mark.
All righty.
And if there are other questions, we'll close this.
Joe, I got a question, if I could.
Yes,
If the city is so interested in the railroad and you say you own it, then why don't you try to do something for a budget, whether it's $50,000 a year or whatever, and set them up as a department? If you say that the city owns it, set them up as a department and give them a budget with some money, help them out a bit. And I think Mark's request of asking you guys to take it to the management board and discuss it with them as common courtesy, and that you're saying that, well, in the past 6 years, nothing's been done. But in the past 6 years, has the Board of Trustees ever requested a meeting with the management board to discuss these deficiencies in a way to correct it? No, you haven't. So,
Well,
as a courtesy,
I'm not going to argue with you about that.
well, I know, but as a courtesy to
And
the
that's not true, I
board,
did go before the
We
management
had
board.
somebody go to the management board. So we'll close this meeting, found Board of Trustees, and give it back to the mayor.
All right, with that, we'll open up the city council meeting again. Number 4, items discussing possible action, Ely City Council as recommended by the Utility Number one, board members, Robinson Nevada Mining Company, representative, discussion possible action, update the utility board on the Robinson Nevada development, roof pit development, and water mitigation efforts within the city. Do we have any Robinson?
No, Blair's not here. Blair said they were mining in 3 pits and they're not running water down Gleason Creek. And an average on the last, through January 7th, the last month, they're running 2,144 gallons a minute through one RP6, I think, and 2,039 through RP7. So that's down from 6,000 at the height of the summer. And that's all his report.
See what's the report we got. And with that, I'll move on to number 2. Councilman Burbidge, discussion possible action, review of fee charge at the landfill for the disposal of metal.
There was a big discussion in that utility board meeting, and the gist of it was that they were going to have attorney review the grant from the BLM. Rich,
I'm sorry.
You're going to review the grant for the BLM.
I haven't seen it
We're
yet.
going to have to split you two up if you don't pay attention.
We'll do better. I promise. I haven't seen it yet. That's part of what we're discussing.
So they tabled until he reviews it. It'll come back from the utility board next month.
Anybody want to table this now?
I move to table this.
Second.
All in favor, say
Aye.
Aye.
And with that, we'll go to number 3, board member, city attorney, serious discussion possible action, approval of the water mitigation maintenance agreement between the city of Ely and Ely Shoshone Tribe.
That's my item. I made a couple of changes on it between this morning and this afternoon, and some were handwritten just a few minutes ago. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you approve it, vote to accept it with the changes, including the handwritten notes that I've included in it.
I move that we vote to approve it with the handwritten changes which have been recently inserted therein.
I need to make a comment here. I want to disclose that I used to own some property that I subsequently sold on an installment sale to the tribe. I don't see, and I would ask the attorney if he would agree that I don't see that presents a conflict of interest on this issue.
You don't stand to benefit in any fashion from this transaction,
No.
because none of the utilities would be provided to the property that you sold.
That's correct.
So you have no financial interest in the transaction. You have no long-term dedication to the financial interests of the tribe. It was a single transaction that you entered into,
Yes.
where it has a set price. The price doesn't change based upon the tribe's payments to you. You don't have any conflict.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Have a motion?
Oh, you already have a motion. Sam already moved.
Okay, you did have a motion.
Yeah, I did.
Move the fix.
Move a second.
I second.
Did you get one in?
That is now.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're going to number 7, items for discussion possible action at the Ely City Council. Consent agenda for number 1, discussion for possible action minutes of December 12th, 2013. Any discussion on the minutes for December 12th? Any motion?
I move we accept the minutes as presented to us.
Okay, and discussion possible action table until December 18, 2013. Would you like to include that?
Yes, I will move that we also include that.
You have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? B, new business, Councilman Sutherland, discussion possible action, review of possible approval of expenditures that comprise Lifetime Historical Railroad Foundation amount 255, note payable to Mark Bassett and Jim Bassett for the amount of $72,399.22.
Mark, you're gonna bring the receipts and work on this all. Okay.
So we just take no action.
No action.
Right, no action.
All right, with that, I'll go to number 2. Councilman Sutherland, discussion possible action, consideration created. Payment schedule to pay off White Pine Historical Railroad Foundation amount 255. Note payable to Barney and John Bassett amount $72,399.
Oh, we just tabled that.
We tabled it.
We tabled that as a river. We'll table this.
Table this one too.
Okay, one of the other table, one of the other.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 3, Councilman Hanson, discussion of possible action, consideration, direct to Treasurer Rogan to look into bringing Babbitt Northern Railway financial management into the City Hall.
You made a motion. We approved it, so.
We approved it, so it's done.
No, that was the railroad foundation.
Oh, it's not the, okay. I would make that motion again.
And I will second it.
Okay, you got your motion down there, Jennifer? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 5, Mayor Hickman, Council of Westland, discussion possible action and acceptance of terms to use room in the National Guard Armory as a meeting hall, city of Ely public meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Room is number 1.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, you jumped one.
I
jumped four. Yeah, you jumped 4.
Number 4.
Oh, got it, I'll let her before. Okay, well, let me back it up before. Council member, City Attorney Sears. Oh, now I see, yeah, okay. Yeah, discussion possible action, giving a big raise. No, wait a minute. Consideration to enter into a interlocal agreement with the White Pine County regarding land exchange of land owned by the White Pine County Associates with the golf course well and the land owned by the City of Ely across from the old city shop on East 11th Street. Discussion what we're doing. Trade exchange, pretty much, Richard?
Governmental entities are entitled to exchange land or assets between themselves without going through the public meeting process, the public hearing process, public bidding processes. This matter came before the Nevada Supreme Court, who made the law clear 5 or 6 years ago. And so if we want to do this land exchange, and you direct me to do that by motion, I will prepare an interlocal agreement that allows the exchange of property, and you can do it for $1, you can do it for 0, whatever you want to do it for.
And then, so does that come back or it's all done now?
You'll have to come back and vote on the final agreement. But you need to tell me to go draw up the paperwork to do it.
I move we direct Attorney Sears to draw up the interlocal agreement with White Pine County with the land property already discussed
And I second.
for $0.
So 0 second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No. No.
I have a concern, Mr. Mayor.
Got that? Yeah, I know you do.
Well, let's address it
Number 5,
then.
Mayor Hickley, Councilman Westland, discussion possible action, acceptance of terms to use rooms in the National Guard Armory as a meeting hall of city of Ely public meeting. I might add that Jennifer got, we have an email here that you all had a chance to look at. They're coming back with, and this is originally what we talked to them about, something about paying the utilities for that during the meeting, which I don't think would have done if we had 3 meetings or 6 or 7 meetings, we just let them know. We would get the key, we're having trouble getting the key, and Jennifer may have to on the trip that she already has planned. That's on a Saturday, isn't it? Would you be able to get into Carlin or wherever they do?
Well, I talked to her about that. She's going to let me know because they just cannot make a key. The key is a specialty military sort of best lock that they have to find some specialty place that will make a key for them, I guess.
And we would be obligated to pay $3,000.
I don't know why they just can't look at the lock, call the best company, say, this is the number, send them on.
You would think so.
You would think so.
It might be very expensive.
Because I know that's what we did at BLM with the government. It was a specialty key. They called the company, said this is the number I need, and they sent it off. I don't know why they just don't do that.
Well, that's not what they want to do, but we would be liable, if we lost the key, to pay them $3,000 for the replacement.
Yeah.
Or we just don't lose the key. And this is room 108 over there, which is about the same width as this, but longer. And plenty of space. It is ADA access. That's what 3 or 4 years ago they spent like $1 million, $1.5 million to make it ADA access. And so I think you should know that. It'd be a good way to do it. It's on city property, even though the building's owned by the military. It is part of the city, and it would be, we're trying to look at setting it up, Jennifer, for February to December.
Yes.
And hopefully that will give us time to, if we approve an alternate, and we could break it out, I would imagine, any time, but if we remodel City Hall or whatever we plan to do on that. And if that doesn't happen in time, we might be able to get an extension from that point.
Oh, yeah.
After all, the military is not using the building, and they do offer to other organizations such as the high school and UNLV basketball.
So the terms of the agreement are you paying utilities?
We'll be paying the utilities.
For the room or for the whole building?
For the room only.
Is it on a special meter, or are they just guessing what it's going to be?
No, they take the square footage and they average out the utilities.
And that's our only cost, and the only other thing is moving the snow around the propane.
Yeah, so we can get to.
So we move the snow so they can get to the propane tanks, make sure we got propane.
I know we accept that one. You have a reason.
Second.
I'd like to discussion, somewhat. What happened to the proposal that Gina Matthews put forward to use the building across from City Hall? Is not that one ADA compliant?
No.
It's not even. Are we doing something to make this place ADA compliant? It is ADA compliant.
You better look at it again.
$1.5 million. It is ADA compliant.
It isn't, sir.
Yes, it is.
Our
Please do not
building
interfere.
inspector went and looked at it to make sure that it was ADA compliant, and it is.
And so it's all, believe me, it's a beautiful.
I believe you. I'm just wondering, just
Well,
it's
we'd
a
have
little
to-
farther from City Hall, though, isn't it? Than
Well,
across the
there's a
street?
possibility that Gina Matthews, who owns that building, might move the pizza place in there.
There, okay, all right. I was just wondering what became.
And once we can set up our equipment and leave it in that room,
Yeah.
Yes.
so we don't have to, won't take money moving. Once
Okay,
it's there.
I was wondering, so just
Everything.
because I hadn't heard.
Well,
It said discussion, so I thought I'd ask. Okay, thank you.
as part of that discussion, I would like to note that I don't see anything that would prevent us from leaving this facility, the Armory, if we came up with a better deal. It's not like we're bound
No,
to this.
it's not like, it's not that kind of contract. It's an interlocking agreement that if we break it after 3 or 4 months.
So I think we're free to keep pursuing any of them.
How long would we be allowed to stay there? Is it a year?
February to December, and then of course we have the option.
We do, okay.
Yeah. They're being very loose with how they handle it, except they won't call you back. That's the only problem.
Sounds like.
When they do call you back, everything's great.
Oh, okay.
But, and believe me, I think Jennifer's made about 50 calls to these people and a lot of emails. Dealing with the Army is what it turns out. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and, oh, that's not going over. Okay. Number 6, Councilman Westland, discussion, possible action considering the proposal of professional service for, leading to remodeling a portion of City Hall as a new area for the City Council and the City Board. I have Thomas Bath here, I believe this is his item, isn't it, Jennifer? We're going to have Thomas Bath do a little presentation of what he's come up with, and we get an idea of where we stand. And what it might cost us financially. So Thomas,
Great.
what did you think?
Can everybody hear me? Because I'm going to have my back face this way, so just yell at me if you can't hear. So a little bit of context behind why I'm here today. Thank you for coming. My name is Thomas Batt, by the way. I was approached by the City Council to look at the possible conversion of the existing City Hall building, or the old fire department portion, into a meeting room, an accessible meeting room that they could have meetings such as this in the future. We met, I think it was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, in the space to look it over. I met with several other council members and city employees. And then afterward, prepared a proposal, which I believe got distributed to all of the council members. Is that correct? Okay, great. So,
there was one missing, one or two. A council member, you mean at that meeting?
oh, no, I mean, did everybody
Yeah,
receive that
they were
proposal
before.
that I created?
Yes, I received.
Okay, great.
So,
Yeah,
That's what.
That's the estimate, that's what. I talked to Thomas from trying to come over to Plan B because I felt he took in too much. He was looking at all of City Hall, and we were looking at just the fire department.
And actually, more of what I prepared for today was actually just a clarification about the scope of the project, because I felt like it was necessary after the feedback that I got from the mayor and the city clerk on the phone regarding what the proposed overall scope of the project would be, and the way that we would propose about going or progressing through the phasing. So, would you mind maybe giving the lights for me? I think they can see this here. I also brought a hard copy with me. I'm sorry, I don't have enough for every.
That's good.
See, okay, cool. All right, so this is just an existing plan of the building. It's a bit crude, sorry, because we are using the original architectural plans and trying to piece them together. But you can see that basically the overall size of the space on the left here under future meeting hall is roughly about 37 feet by 41 feet or so. This is what we have currently to deal with. In the proposal, we assumed the entire the proposal for professional services that I provided for you assumes a master plan basically for the entire ground level of the existing building, which would encompass first the phase 1, which is the purple area there, which is about 2,500 square feet. And then a secondary phase, which would be about 1,600 square feet, which encompasses the other side or the rest of the building. The reason for the delineation between these two has to do with the overall floor height. So if you look at this, basically this kind of shows you the old fire department portion of the building is at ground level, so it's at grade with a cast-in-place concrete slab floor. And then the remainder of the offices are crawl space condition, which is up off of the ground. So you can kind of see the purple area is the phase 1 area that we were discussing, which was the primary focus of your current remodel plans, with the yellow portion being the phase 2 or something down the line that you could look at revitalizing the building to make it a little more usable. And then the upstairs actually represents an area which was outside the scope of the proposal that we prepared for you, which is about 2,000 square feet of space. Here's our initial letter that we sent to you and scope letter. Also, I can just read through this very quickly for you because I think it's really hard to see up there. So on the left-hand arrow up there, it says the total square footage of the existing two-story City Hall and adjacent fire hall is approximately 6,200 square feet, which includes 2,045 square feet at the ground level of City Hall, 2,045 square feet at the second level of City Hall, and 2,100 square feet at the ground level of the fire hall. Based on our research and experience, costs for remodel construction in the Ely area range from approximately $100 to $150 per square foot, using about $125 per square foot and the ground level construction footprint of 4,100 square feet. The estimate of the total construction cost would be somewhere around $522,000. This number, and this was the reason why